Welcome to Reality Check. I'm Xu Qinduo. The U.S. has announced to further raise interest rates by 75 basis points, the fifth time this year to raise borrowing costs. But will simply hiking rates fix the problems of the U.S. economy? One key factor, some say, has contributed to the current record-high inflation has been aggressive government stimulus packages. In March 2021, the government handed out $1,400 to every American, a $1.9 trillion package. That followed an even larger sum in March 2020 of $2 trillion. No wonder some have called the U.S. inflation a man-made problem.
We have this problem that's totally man-made, high inflation. Too much money being in circulation in the society. Biden administration has been sending out checks to people. Of course, Trump was doing that too.
Then there's the mistake, assuming that it would only be temporary.
Some folks have raised worries that this could be a sign of persistent inflation. But that's not our view. Our experts believe, and the data shows, that most of the price increases we've seen were expected and are expected to be temporary.
Now the consensus is that inflation is here to stay. To bring it down to a comfortable 2% from its current 8.3%, the U.S. must push the unemployment rate far higher than its 4.1% projection. But this runs the risk of a possible recession.
But the chances of pulling off are very, very low because they have to push up the unemployment rate. And in the past, when you've pushed up the unemployment rate, you've almost never been able to avoid a full-fledged recession.
Given the fact the U.S. is the world's largest economy, constant rate hikes will have consequences on poorer nations as well as the global economy. Just as an article from the Washington Post put it, higher rates will push up the cost of financing debt or importing goods for countries that borrow in dollars. Even if the U.S. could engineer a soft landing, there may still be the long-term price pressures. Besides the ongoing Ukraine war and the pandemic, the U.S. is decoupling from China, the world's second-largest economy. That creates all sorts of economic problems, including reversing globalization. Actually, this has already begun. Globalization was first attacked by former U.S. President Donald Trump, who spearheaded a U.S. policy of nationalism and populism. U.S. consumers are still paying more for imported Chinese goods because of unnecessary tariffs, which Trump set in motion as part of his trade war with China. In a similar vein, the Biden government has also been working to dismantle globalization by forcing U.S. firms to delink from China, the world's factory, quickly resulting in higher production costs. As the restrictions on free trade and investment with China have been imposed, supply chains have been disrupted, which has, for example, led to shortages of semiconductors and solar panel materials. International columnist on global business John Manzella warns that as globalization is diminished, everyone will suffer from high prices as a result.
Together, it appears that one of the major benefits historically provided by globalization, that the seemingly endless supply of inexpensive products, will soon come to an end. While government deficits, the money supply, and other factors also impact inflation, those longer-term factors associated with globalization will be driving it up for years to come.
Though rate hikes may seem like a quick fix, they address the symptoms and not the problem. We may need to refocus on free trade and investment, which itself demands stability and cooperation. Failing to do so will only bring further confrontation or even a new Cold War, which will only render countries poorer.